Good morning, traders. It is Monday, the 20th of April, 2015. It's 7:26 a.m. Chicago time. This is a pre-recorded session. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. My personal opinions, market data, and recommendations are subject to change without notice. Past performance is not indicative of future results. A fair bit of news overnight driving the trading. China's PBOC cut the triple R rate, which is the reserve requirement ratio, by 100 basis points to 18.5% yesterday or overnight. It is the biggest cut since November of 2008. If you recall, November 2008, we were in the throes of a large drop. It appears to have not inspired the equities market to respond. Also appears to be a desperate push for growth. It feels like the PBOC is putting a floor underneath their market. It'll be very interesting to watch because this is a very, very large economy. I believe currently the second largest after the U.S. BMW and VW announced that they face headwinds in meeting their forecasts in China, so we see somewhat of an effect of that on the DAX. Markets looking ahead at the Eurogroup meeting on Greece this Friday, and then with crude oil, Saudi Arabian oil minister stating that Saudi Arabia have an output of 10 million barrels per day in April, and it is not worried about demand for oil in China, putting a cap on the crude oil rally that we had last week. So we're seeing a drop in crude. And then after the market today, IBM announces earnings after the close. As far as what's ahead today at 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, ECB's Constancio speaks at the European Parliament in Brussels. And that's it. There's an Australian RBA governor's speech in New York, but I doubt it'll affect us. Looking at the week, fairly light week for the U.S., a busy week abroad. German and Eurozone zoo survey is expected tomorrow. API crude oil inventories after the market, and then we're expecting DuPont and Lockheed to announce earnings. Wednesday, Australian CPI, Bank of England minutes, U.S. existing home sales, DOA crude oil inventories. We also get Facebook, Coca-Cola, AT&T, Qualcomm, Boeing, and McDonald's on Wednesday. Thursday, Japanese and U.S. manufacturing PMI, HSBC Chinese manufacturing PMI, just a lot of manufacturing PMIs, UK retail sales, U.S. initial claims, natural gas, ECB's Parade is expected to speak, and then we're getting earnings from Novartis, Google, Microsoft, P&G, Amazon, Pepsi, 3M, Caterpillar, and Ericsson. Friday, German IFO business climate, U.S. durable goods orders, Bank of Japan Deputy Governor Nakaso, SMB Chief Jordan, that's the Swiss National Bank, and then as far as earnings, we're getting AstraZeneca, Volvo, and Biogen. So that's how things are shaping up. Let's take a look at what happened on Friday and what was expected. So far, what we've done is we've moved from the October balance to the February, March, mid-April balance. Since February 13th, we've been up here, and we've basically created a triangle. I'll show you that on a different chart with a bearish wedge formation, ascending triangle formation, and it broke. The ascending triangle broke. I talked about this on DTR last week. He brought up, John from DTR brought up the ascending triangle being very bearish looking, and it finally broke down. And what we left behind, we have two balance days after popping up, and we left behind this weak structure below, and then we gapped down on Friday, and have left behind again a weak structure above. So what we've done is we've skipped through this this gap zone here, 92 being a key area to test. Currently, the market's trading at 2086, and what we've done is we've dropped down into the 74.50, which was the balance zone of this most recent low we've put in. So if we look at this reddish pinkish area here, we could see where the market traded mostly, and what it did is it came down and it pushed through to the other side to the MCLVN here at 65.50. It went to 64.50 on Friday, and overall settled the session with the point of control is at exactly on the MC point of control. I pointed this out during the day on Twitter that keep an eye on where that point of control is picking up and where it's moving to. And by the end of the day, we had a point of control at 2074.50, right on top of the MC point of control. This is why auction theory works. This is why watching volume profile works, because the market always moves in a rhythm that expresses what the buyers and sellers are finding to be in consensus, or to be too expensive or not expensive enough. And the way that this is expressed is through volume. So price either draws or rejects volume. I'm either going to participate in this auction, or I'm going to think it's too expensive or too cheap for my own good, and I will not participate. And if I don't participate, many others won't. Then there will be no volume. So what we had on Friday is this balanced, very strangely balanced profile, but thin above and below. Essentially, it just opened, tried higher. We got responsive buying as expected by on that trader bite on Friday, and we could not quite make it to the 89.50. And then we found sellers, and we basically essentially tested everything from this CHVN, MCHVN. So we have moved into this, back into this high volume node, and have tested the other side and settled right in the middle by the end of the day Friday. Beautiful trading on Friday, although probably not very obvious. But we're back into the FOMC zone again, and the market's just sitting sideways. If we look at what we did overnight, where are we overnight? Right there. If we look at what we did overnight, all we did was we opened, we gapped up on the open on that PBOC news, and have pushed up and continue to push up through the European session, which had almost a better reaction to the PBOC news than the Chinese market did. But overall, we're back to where we were at the beginning of Friday. We're back to where we were by the end of the session on Friday morning, the Globex session. Remember Friday morning, I looked at this impulsive move down and indicated that given the way this is set up, I'm expecting a lower low and a push lower, and we did get that with 74.50 being the target. And now we've taken that back and we've moved back to where the Globex session ended on Friday. So essentially, note here that the point of control 87, Friday's point of control, overnight point of control is 87. Essentially what the market has done is swiftly rejected these prices. Looking at this low from Friday, it looks fairly secure. It looks like there is dry up in volume on the way down, and then it looks like the rotation up was fairly strong. And so overall, a 12 point up move into the close. Overall, this low looks secure for now. So the expectation is for this to take back some of the weak structure that it left behind above, and that's what I'm looking for today. So initially on Hypo 1, I'm looking for it's in range right now. The market opens in almost an hour because of this pre-recording, so it's really hard to tell what it's likely to do on the open, but right now the overnight balance, or the overnight the overnight balance is on the buy side. So the players on the overnight session are looking a little bit long. So the expectation is for responsive selling, and I'm looking for it to drop into this 2080 area, but I'm also looking for it to balance here, if anything, or get a swift rejection, and then for it to continue up. The key target and key resistance above is 2092.50. That 2092.50 area looks like it may take a couple of cracks for the market to take that out, assuming we open somewhere inside of Friday's range. That's a big assumption, again, assuming we open somewhere inside of Friday's range. So I'm looking for this to kind of sit here, maybe drop a little bit, test lower, possibly take out the overnight low, and then push, start pushing back up towards the 2092. Let's look at that wedge formation and how it worked out. Here it is. So we have this large triangle as outlined by these two blue lines here. And then we have this wedge formation. Let me change the color on this so I can refer to the color more easily. Leave it. So the wedge formation is shown in red here. A beautiful formation, and it just broke lower last week on Friday, and then we're back and we're beneath it. So the expectation is for this to start moving up towards this trend line and test from below. Overall, the target, if we break new highs, and I still believe we're heading towards new highs, the overall target's 2120 to 2123 on the big picture. Looking at other markets, a quick look at crude. Crude, my plan for last week was for this to be a corrective move up, and for the target to be 55.09 on the old contract, which is 56.49 on this new contract, and it broke through it. Pushed through almost to the next target of 59.40. This area here that we stopped at 58.82 is an LVN zone, and a composite LVN zone. It's got a little bit ahead of itself, in my opinion, and the expectation is for it to roll over and move back towards 55, even 54.95 before further highs. It's been in balance now. It was in balance on Thursday and Friday, Thursday and Friday, and then this morning it's just sitting sideways. So it has pulled back a little bit on the comments from the Saudi Arabian minister. Crude oil is down, looks like 0.68 or 68 basis points from Friday's close, so it's a fairly quiet session in there, but we're expecting some action once this the pit session opens at 8 a.m. or 20 minutes. Looking at the Eurostocks, beautiful here. If you recall, if you've been watching for a bit here, the expectation was for this to roll over back into the 36.43 and 36.30 area, and it did that very quickly on Friday and on Thursday, and it's been sitting sideways. And notice that the point of control here for today's session is right in line with the MC point of control. What that means is the market's back in this balance zone here and is accepting these prices. So for now, it looks like the euro might be fighting a little bit in this area. This is a big chop zone. The expectation is for it to try to retest upwards towards that 36.76, 77 area before it falls back down, chops a little bit more, and then pulls back a little bit depending on what the ES does. And that's it. That's all I had for you for today. I'm going to be on DTR at 2, or is it 3 Eastern, 2 Central. I'll announce that on Twitter. and I wish you the best of luck trading. As always, put your risk first and stick to your plan. Don't make decisions on the fly. It's a very expensive way to trade. Good luck. I'll catch you later.